All right, everyone, welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by all of our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks, Game Time, and PXG. It is Brian Hines back as always with Alex Barth, and we are in week 10 officially, and the Patriots are going back on the road to Chicago, a highly anticipated matchup, I guess, if you want to call it, between number one overall pick Caleb Williams, number 3 overall pick Drake Maye, who we have watched the last 4 weeks get his first 4 starts. So the two rookies will be going at it. The Bears kind of been on the struggle bus lately. Not everything is going great over there in Chicago. So could be a good game in front of us. Random thought just off the bat here that I was thinking about, doing some research on the Bears, remembering they were on Hard Knocks in training camp. If you had to guess right now, do you think the Patriots are kind of in prime position to be on Hard Knocks next offseason, next training camp?
Unless Gerard Mayo gets one and done, yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest thing in the way. So we'll have to do something. We'll have to do some sort of contest or something where, like, if people see us in the background, and point us out, shout out the show. Maybe we'll give something away for that. But
how many times?
Yeah, because what's up?
How many times we get spotted in Hard Knocks?
Yeah, seriously, I'm gonna have to get your Twitter handle printed on a shirt or something. But
my Venmo.
There you go. It's because they're not gonna make the playoffs, right? It's just that first year head coach thing. That's pretty much it.
That's like I was just that randomly crossed my mind, and the fact, the New England organization, I would say, still has, some, whatever you want to call it, some hype, some aura to it. And then the way with Drake Maye, how he's been playing, like that's someone you figure the league would want to kind of pump up and show, just like they showed Caleb Williams last year. So I thought that would make a lot of sense that maybe you see Hard Knocks, unless I was thinking maybe like the Giants, but they just had the offseason one, so I don't know how that works. Or
I would imagine that if you do the offseason one, you're off limits. I hope if they do it, they do training camp. The offseason one's just, I would never allow my team to do that if I was like a coach or whatever. I would say find me at that point.
Yeah, that one that looked the Giants, like that was tough offseason to do it with the whole Saquon thing, and then they made Daniel Jones just look like an afterthought, which he kind of is an afterthought. But you don't want that out there in the public, right? You're starting quarterback, you're paying a lot of money. So, unless one team, like, I don't know if Shedeur Sanders goes somewhere and he's starting and that gets, the people talking about it. But I think New England might be in a spot there to kind of be on Hard Knocks next year, which I don't know. Hard Knocks, it's not as good as it once was, I think, and we'd have to then watch it and break it down. One more thing to do in training camp, which might not be the best thing,
right?
But it would be some cool behind the scenes footage that you've never obviously seen with the Patriots. But random thought starter there to kick it off that I was just thinking about with the Bears. But let's get into some of the stuff with the matchups. Drake Maye versus Caleb Williams obviously won't be on the field at the same time unless something really gets wacky out there. But we didn't spend, I would say, a lot of time in our draft previews talking about Caleb Williams because he was just so locked into that number one overall pick for most of the process. Never really seemed like he would get to 2, let alone 3 to New England. So just what are your kind of thoughts on Caleb Williams as a quarterback, whether it was, coming into the draft, and then how have you seen him through his first, they had their bye, so 9 games here with the Bears, and maybe even comparing that to, Drake Maye's first full 4 starts, just with those rookie quarterbacks. How have you kind of viewed them early on in their career here?
Yeah, I mean, he's just very inconsistent right now. He's thrown 9 touchdowns. He's had 2 300-yard games. All of that came in a span of 4 games. Last 2 weeks in September, first 2 weeks in October. And I feel like there's not a great match between him and Shane Waldron. I know Matt Eberflus has gotten a lot of heat. I'm not saying that's wrong, but like the offense they're running does not fit him. And he's clearly fighting himself at times to try to stay within the system. And there is going to have to be an adjustment when you get to the NFL, but I don't think they're putting him in a position to succeed so far. So you see the natural talent shine through at times. He did it against the Jaguars, obviously, in London. And the Patriots, the way they've been playing defense, it potentially could happen again this week. But I think that, would you look at that and what everybody called one of the best situations a rookie quarterback's ever stepped into, the Bears might be botching it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Taylor mentioned it on our crossover yesterday, which if anyone didn't check that out, make sure to do that on Patriots Press Pass. We did some not midseason awards, but superlatives. We can't give out awards at 2-7 there. But Taylor mentioned, like, this is kind of what people are saying it is here in New England with Alex Van Pelt, what Shane Waldron is doing in Chicago, because it is a disaster out there right now. And it hasn't been sunshine and rainbows in New England under Alex Van Pelt, but listening to some Bears fans, talking to some Bears people leading up to this week, like, they're talking the team has quit on Matt Eberflus. It finally reached, like, the defense that quit last week against Arizona. They're talking about Shane Waldron literally ruining Caleb Williams as a rookie quarterback, which we've talked a lot about, like throwing a guy out there and ruining them. Like, they're talking about kind of dumpster fire scenario year one in Chicago. And again, as you just said, like, this was a situation where they did build this roster up fairly nicely with the receivers and they drafted some offensive linemen, but it just hasn't been working. Yeah, someone also mentioned, DJ Moore quitting halfway through a play.
Yeah.
I know he said ankle injury, but that wasn't the first time DJ Moore's body language has been kind of questionable this year. So I don't know if they're going to have to trade DJ Moore, but it just hasn't looked right in Chicago. They are 4-4. Their wins have been over the Titans, the Rams, who were dealing with injuries, the Panthers, and then the Jaguars, and their losses were against the Texans, the Colts, the Commanders, and the Cardinals. So big difference in terms of win-losses. Patriots obviously on the half with the worst teams, right? You're a 2-win team. You lost to a lot of those teams they beat. So it'll be an interesting test. But yeah, when you look at Chicago, like, that's what you don't want to happen to a rookie quarterback, and they're kind of going through that right now, it seems like.
Yeah, and it's an example again of it's an example again of, you can draft the right guy all you want. That's only half the battle. Player development is as big, if not more of a part than just who the player is to begin with. So you're seeing it in real time right now, because people do this revisionist history. Caleb Williams sucked. It should have been Jade Daniels. It should have been Drake. No, Caleb Williams was the best prospect of the five, however you want to break it down. Like, he was. Doesn't mean he can't be derailed. Doesn't mean he wasn't above, being put in a bad spot.
Yep. I will say, like, bigger picture though, they did seem to build a good roster. And if you're the Patriots, that could be kind of your blueprint, especially if they got the number one pick when they had a quarterback. It was Justin Fields at the time, but they were able to trade that, get DJ Moore, get a haul. They got their tackle and Darnell Wright. Some of those receivers, Roma Dunze, they traded a pick for Keenan Allen. Like, that's a pretty good, again, blueprint kind of game plan off the field if you're Elliott Wolf, to kind of look at what Ryan Poles did and say, that's how we want to build our roster. Like, it was kind of different because they went from Fields to Williams halfway through, but they got picks and assets no matter who was at quarterback to kind of build that thing up. And that could be a path. I don't know. Were you a fan of how they kind of built that thing up? And maybe that's a path that New England could take.
I mean, yeah, they attacked veteran receivers. They were able to make the move to trade down and get a haul of picks. There's not a lot to complain about there. And we'll see where the Patriots end up in the draft this year and how that all shakes out. But, the reason we talked a lot about the Texans plan, following the Texans plan back in the spring. And, now people, what about the Bears? To end up in the position they were in to make that trade's pretty unique. It's outside of your control. I mean, it's outside of your control, I guess, to follow any of these paths, but that path specifically. But, if they end up in that spot, now Cam Ward's got to get it going, or Shadur Sanders has got to get it going to really put them in that position, but they could end up in a similar spot the Bears are in.
Yep. All right. Patriots offense, though, in this one, I mentioned, the Bears defense was the strength of that team, but even they seem to be kind of falling back, reeling the past few weeks. Some of that might have to do with Matt Eberflus, who is their head coach, and he does call the defensive plays. The buy-in might not completely be there. So Patriots rookie quarterback Drake Maye, what do you want to see from him? And how would you kind of attack this defense? We don't want to see him dropping back 45, 50 times. So we're going to be talking about the run game, but what do you want to see from Drake here against this Bears defense?
From Drake, just don't turn the ball over. Like, it's still that same thing. That's where he needs to grow the most. He needs to be more careful with the football. This is a Bears defense that is top 10 in the league in takeaways. They will capitalize if Drake Maye puts the football in the bad position. But you touched on the run game. That's more what I'm watching. This is a Bears defense that is allowing 5 yards per carry against the run. They're bottom 5 in the league in run defense. They have some guys up front. We don't know whether or not they'll be missing, but they're on the injury report. They're banged up at the very least. Both sides of the ball, really. Neither of these teams can run the ball. Neither of these teams can stop the run. Something's got to give somewhere.
And
for a Patriots team that needs to be better running the football, that needs to be better stopping the run, like, there should be opportunities in this game. And to take something off Drake Maye's plate after he was as busy as he was last week, when it would be good for him to have a settle down game, not turn the ball over. If you can get the run game going, and particularly the Bears defensive line has not been good. Like, we've talked about the Patriots running backs, not Patriots linebackers not being great against the run. With the Bears, the issue sets up front. So if you can move those guys, the linebackers are good. Like, Tremaine Edmonds, good player, right? Tremaine Edmonds, good player. TJ Edwards, good player. If you can move the line, like, Ramondre is a good player too, and you set him up to maybe make those guys miss in the open field. So there is an opportunity for the Patriots to get their run game right, which is the best thing they can do for Drake Maye.
Yeah, because we did mention, you don't want Drake Maye turning the ball over 3 times a game, but it does feel like some of that has to do with him playing this hero ball. Like, everything's on his shoulders. He's got to do it all. He's got to try to make all these plays. And with that is going to come turnovers when he's dealing with this supporting cast. And if he doesn't have to drop back 45 times a game, that would just help take some pressure off of him, not having him to do everything. So you got to get that run game going. Just if you could drop him to, like, I don't know, 30, 35 dropbacks, like, that would make things easier on him. So you did mention the Bears run defense hasn't been great. They got gashed by the Cardinals last week, and that didn't even have to do with Kyler Murray on the ground. I think he had single-digit rushing yards. So it was the Cardinals' back. So this would be a great week to get the Patriots rushing game back that we've talked a lot about. Past month, they're negative yards before contact. They're last in the league in that area. So seems like we might have a offensive line switch, which you would guess the emphasis or point behind that is to try and get this run game going. Michael Jordan's play has kind of fallen off at left guard the past few weeks. So they, based off practice the last few days, based off what Alex Van Pelt said this morning, we'll talk to Scott Peters tomorrow, but looks like Big Mike Onwenu will be over at left guard, which we haven't seen since 2021. And then Layden Robinson, who they drafted and they clearly want in there and they clearly like, will be at right guard. And then it's, the usual Vidarian Lowe, Trey Jacobs at tackle, and Ben Brown at center. So is this the winning formula? Like, do you think this one's going to work, this 9th offensive line combination in 10 games here with Big Mike at left guard?
I don't even know at this point. Like, it's going to be a step back because I think that continuity helped. And both Demontre Jacobs and Mike Onwenu talked today about the chemistry they built over there on the right side. The Patriots have done a lot this year of running to the weak side. How about you try running behind those guys? I get maybe they need a new left guard because Michael Jordan hadn't been great the last few games. City So, last time I checked, is still on this team. And I think taking your best lineman, moving him to the 3rd position he's been in this year. This is a guy that's been here 5 years. He's never really had a position. He's only had 1 year where he didn't play multiple spots. It just feels desperate. And if they're doing it to swap the left tackle, that's one thing. But again, it's not the best way to swap the left tackle. You have City So. If they're doing it just so they can get Layden Robinson in the lineup, that's incredibly frustrating because Robinson has not been good. And just based off the switch they made last week, it feels like it's all hands on deck to get Layden Robinson in the lineup. I pulled up this quote, if you listen to Catch 22 earlier, from Gerard Mayo. This was after the opener. I got to find the right quote now. Give me a second. This was after the opener against the Bengals.
Bengals, okay.
Yeah, and
preseason opener or regular season opener, but Bengals.
well, the preseason opener, remember, they like didn't allow their offense to do anything.
Yeah.
But this was after the regular season opener where Robinson played well as a run blocker. He didn't pass block well, but he did a good job as a run blocker. And Mayo said, there's asked about Layden Robinson's performance, and this is the wrong transcript. Just fill for me for a second here, Brian.
I was trying to pull up Layden Robinson's stats from that game.
Here it is. I got it. I got it. So he was asked about, what he saw from Layden Robinson in that game, and this is Gerard Mayo, and just during camp. There was a point in time during training camp where not only myself, but I think the other coaches saw it. We said, Layden Robinson has an opportunity to be a special player in this league. He's tough. He'll move guys off the line of scrimmage. He can do it all. His overall effort and mentality is something that, when you think about changing a culture, he's definitely one of those guys that fits into that box. He did a great job. Now, in saying that, it's only one game. We'll see how he continues to progress going forward. That last part is fair, but like that, when I say they maybe like Layden Robinson too much, I'm not saying Layden Robinson's going to be a bust forever, but he's not ready right now. Just like they sat Javon Baker for 2 months because he wasn't ready to get on the field. Layden Robinson does not look ready, but a guy, he can do it all. Again, from that quote, when you think about changing a culture, he's definitely one of those guys that fits into that box. That sounds like a player the coaching staff's going to force on the field. He's their guy, right? City So is not their guy. Their plan was to have Mike Onwenu at tackle, all of this. I'm just worried that they're doing too much to put Layden Robinson on the field when he's not ready right now. And it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up benched again. Now, with Mike Onwenu at left guard, I think he'll be capable. But again, it's flipping sides. It's not easy. And you've now taken your best offensive lineman again and moved them. And you've lost that linchpin of your line, potentially. So if things don't go well, who are you leaning on? They had a group. They had a group and it was working. And if you need to swap out Michael Jordan, you swap out Michael Jordan. But they had a group and it was working and they were building continuity. I don't know why you have to keep making these. This is a pretty, as far as offensive line changes go, this is a pretty significant change. You're taking your best player and moving to the other side. Yeah. That's a pretty big deal. And they don't need to do it. They may feel like they might be better, but I would just stick with what was working.
Yeah, I thought they had to make a change at left guard, but the easiest switch just seemed like City So in from Michael Jordan or move Layden Robinson to left, which I don't think he ever did at college, but that just seemed easier than moving Mike Onwenu. And then, now you're putting Layden Robinson at right guard. Like, I think you hit the biggest thing there. It just feels like at this point with City So, like he's a Bill Belichick guy and Layden Robinson is an Elliott Wolf, Scott Peters, Alex Van Pelt guy. And they want him out there. And, I don't mind as much Big Mike moving to left guard, right? Like I'm looking at the offseason. I'm like, put Big Mike at left guard, go throw a bag at Trey Smith, and you have your guards there. But to move Mike Onwenu to left guard just so you can play Layden Robinson at this point right now, who, like what Gerard said, surely could happen. And he could be a good player, with some time on the bench and, another offseason and an offseason in an NFL weight room. But like right now, you saw last week, and I know it was against Jeffrey Simmons, but he is a liability in pass protection. He can't pass protect right now, and to make all these changes just to get that guy in there, right? And you just read the quote after the Week 1 Bengals game, and this is a PFF grade, so take it for what it's worth. But his pass blocking grade in that Bengals game was a 17.4. He gave up 5 pressures, so not the best pass protector to write home about in that game. So it just seems like a weird switch to, again, try to just shoehorn Layden Robinson into the starting lineup right now when he doesn't look ready.
Or at the very least, put him at left. Yeah. Why are you doing this to your best lineman? I get they paid him, but like you're risking pissing the guy off or checking out. You're not allowing him to develop his game. It's just crazy that anytime – it seems like anytime they have an offensive line issue, really the last 2 years, the answer is, why don't we do something to make Mike Onwenu's life a lot harder? And it's one thing, like you're the best lineman, so, things are going to be put on you. But usually that means like, all right, protection assignments, we're going to try to get you on the best guy, whether it be on help or whatever, right? It's usually not, we're going to put you at every position under the sun. So we did this when we did the show yesterday. We talked about what were our biggest questions about the Patriots through the first half. Our biggest second guesses, whether it's an inability or whether they're not willing to pick 5 guys, stick with them, work with them. There's no justification for it. And I know I was the guy saying it when we were doing the when should Drake Maye start conversation, right? Oh, well, in the NFL, there's such little practice time. Teams need to time in the regular season to figure out their offensive line, figure out their starting 5. I meant like a month, maybe a month and a half.
Not November.
No, not November. And it also just goes back to the point that it tells me that they somehow know, like, doesn't it feel like almost an admission that they didn't come into the season with enough? And I know Chuks Okorafor left, but a lot of these guys are new bodies that they're moving around, right? DeMontre Jacobs, Ben Brown, like they're still building the offensive line. Roster construction is February, March, April, May. It is November, and they're still figuring out they're still adding and figuring out the personnel on the offensive line. And that's I know a lot of people want to jump on Elliott Wolf. I said on Catch 22 today, it's the regular season. You don't really talk about the GM this time of year. That's an off-season conversation. It's a pretty damning look for Elliott Wolf what this offensive line situation's turned into.
Yep. Yeah, and it seems to hurt on Winu's play too, right? Like he probably been their best lineman this year, but it hasn't been his standard. And he even said that today. I just pulled up the quote. He says, "I'm not really happy with how the season has gone for me personally. I definitely think I can play better and be a better all-around player." And then he said some of it could be he just said movement, but position movement. Some of it could just be mental, what is the mental thing going on playing a new position every time you go out to practice every week? So like you have to think this is, catching up to him. Right guard and right tackle is one thing, and now he's going to a position that he said again today he hasn't practiced since 2021 when he started that year at left guard. So you're moving him all around, and you said he's your kind of rock there in your offensive line. He's your best player, and now you're impacting his level of play too. So maybe it works. Maybe Layden Robinson just starts that upward trend and he finishes the year on a high note and it pays off. But it does seem kind of a puzzling choice to move all these pieces around just to get him in the lineup right now. But that's how the offensive line is looking. Hopefully that can generate some movement in the run game. That was kind of the big picture thing to take some pressure off of Drake Maye. Before we get to a little bit of the rest of the offense and wrap up this kind of preview, I got to tell you guys about Prize Picks, where you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You just make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Barth and I submit our Patriots lineups every game day. We'll go through it at the end of today's show, so make sure you stay tuned to that, or you can extend it to the entire league. We have Bengals Ravens tonight. Should be a high-scoring game with those two: Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, tons of players to put in your lineup. And of course, Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. So download Prize Picks today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup on Prize Picks. Run your game. And we can mention it, Thursday night football game, Kirk Herbstreit in the booth. Someone brought it up in our chat. RIP Ben. Tough loss there. Won't be the same without him on game day. He was going to the Thursday night games too, right, Ben?
He was going to Thursday. It was fun. He was like, where's Waldo of big football games? Well, it's Thursday night. Seeing him around on Saturdays. Yeah, I'm just seeing Ben every week.
Yep. So rip Ben, thinking of Kurt there. But rest of the Patriots offense, we talked about Drake Maye, offensive line, run game there. Anything else you are looking for with that unit? I would still like to see some more Javon Baker. We talked about it. He ran 2 routes. He ran 2 good routes. He got open on both last week. Let's see a little bit more of him. But anything else you're looking at in this offensive unit in Chicago on Sunday?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Yep. You in with Baker? More Baker?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's trending that way, but who knows with them.
Yep. All right. Switch over to the defense. We talked about Caleb Williams a little bit on the top there, making a lot of. He'll run around. He'll beat Caleb Williams as you saw at USC. He'll run around, extend plays. They haven't hit on as many explosive plays as you would imagine Caleb Williams will generate after watching him in college. They're pushing the ball downfield all over the place, but they have three really good receivers: DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Keenan Allen. It hasn't been as good of a year for Keenan Allen, but what's your kind of game plan here? Where are you putting Christian Gonzalez? Are you shadowing someone? Are you just playing sides with all three of those guys? How are you kind of slowing down that Bears passing attack?
I almost feel like they have to play zone. They just don't have enough. Like, they don't really have an option opposite Gonzalez. Jonathan Jones has not played well. He looks a step slower. These are all big physical receivers, so it's a tough matchup for Marcus Jones. Would be a great week for Alex Austin to come back. How much can you expect out of him? He's a guy that I think should play more. We'll see. He's on IR right now, so he hasn't played. But I think I play it in zone. I don't try to overcomplicate it. I don't try to disguise. I like make Caleb Williams make the plays. That's how I line it up. But if you play it in man, I think you're going to give him matchups to exploit. You look at what the Jets did, right? And just let's find a way to get Mike Williams on Marcus Jones and hammer that. And they can do that with, a guy like Keenan Allen or with a guy like DJ Moore. So that's what I'm looking for. Is there's no ideal coverage matchup in this one. Just cover space and don't give Caleb Williams free opportunities.
Yep. The thing I want, and this isn't secondary, but moving to the front seven, the pass rush, Patriots pass rush should come to life this weekend. The Bears offensive line has not been playing well. Looks like they'll be without tackle Darnell Wright this week. The Cardinals last week, they pressured Caleb Williams on 42% of his dropbacks. They had 16 different players register a pressure on PFF, which I believe was a record. 16 players. Is absurd. Their backup left tackle who played last week gave up 3 sacks and 7 pressures. So maybe just put Keon White over that guy and let him feast. But we've talked a lot about, the Patriots pass rush hasn't been there consistent all year. They obviously lack some of the horses to do that, but this should be a week where you should be able to generate some of that pass rush. And with the secondary maybe being outmatched with some of those bigger physical receivers, like if you could make their lives a little bit easier, generating some pressure, getting to Caleb Williams, you're going to have to contain him because he's going to run around and want to try to, make plays with his legs. But your pass rush could take this game over, and that would be a big help on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, like the run game, right? It's sometimes you just got to jumpstart it. Where are you going to jumpstart it? It might not be against the best opponent. Yeah, it'll get tougher, but just having a good game can build some momentum, and it's another opportunity for the Patriots to do that.
Yep. So then broken record, just any chance they can stop the run this week? I mean, DeAndre Swift has been running the ball pretty well the past few weeks. It's just it's the same story, like get off blocks, effort, attitude's a big thing in the run game. But, Christian Ellis hasn't practiced at linebacker, so that would put either Raekwon McMillan back into a bigger role or, maybe we see Sione Takitaki a little bit more. But are you expecting, I guess that will be the word we'll use, expecting anything better from the run defense that, again, has been bad for New England?
I mean, if they can, like, Swift's been good, but it's kind of like the Patriots where he's doing a lot after contact and he's getting met in the backfield. So be your blocks, finish tackles. And both of those things have been much easier said than done for the Patriots this year. But the Bears' weaknesses are very similar to the Patriots' weaknesses. So it'll be interesting to see if the Patriots can take advantage of any of them. Because you also figure like they've probably been working at this on the scout team because this is what you want the other side to work on. Right. If that makes sense. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's familiar in a way. Because both sides are, struggling with the same type of stuff. So the other scouts are seeing it and working it. So yeah, I think that's it for kind of defense. It's just reoccurring stuff for the Patriots, like especially in the run defense. So um, anything else there that you have of note? I think that's pretty much it. But
I think that's pretty much it. Yep.
yep. Um, all right, and then special teams, like be nice just to see Bryce Behringer bounce back. Joey Sly missed a kick
Bryce has
last
had a
week.
couple
So,
rough games. He's got to figure it out.
yeah, so just bounce back performances from those type of guys. It could be a game where maybe Marcus Jones a big return. It seems like they need him to at least kickstart one of their scoring drives every week. So this could be a kind of another close game, even though Chicago is a little more talented. Just their buy-in level and effort level might not completely be there. So big player too in special teams could make a big impact. So I'll end with one question because we started last week's recap, kind of ripping the coaching staff. How can the coaching staff bounce back in this one?
I mean,
Besides not messing up an end of the first half situation, if we get one, which we can talk about Van Pelt's answer today. I didn't love that. He made it just, he kind of put it on the execution, not the play calls, but coaching staff in this one, what do you want to see from Mayo and them?
yeah, and a half. Figure out the wind.
Windy City.
Matt Eberflus, good point. Matt Eberflus on the hot seat. He's coaching for his job. He's going to be aggressive. He might get reckless. Don't take the bait. Like, coach your game, and the Patriots should be able to outcoach the Bears in this one. Let's see if they do, but they should be able to.
Yeah. It's been very windy at Gillette the past few days, so they should have had much experience adjusting and, playing the wind.
But was the wind changing direction at Gillette? That's the real question.
Yeah, did it change before and after practice? That's what we don't know. We have to go out there before and throw some grass up and down after, I guess. But all right, let's wrap up the game preview here with our Prize Picks lineup of the week. Again, if you use code CLNS on Prize Picks and play $5, you get $50 instantly, whether you win or lose. Any player kind of standing out to you that you might think having a big game? We got pretty much a full board on Prize Picks today. Drake Maye is 196.5 pass yards, 28.5 rushing yards. Do you like any of those against Chicago?
What was the rush yards?
28.5.
Oh yeah, I'll take the over on that.
More
on that. Sorry, the more on that.
That's what he does. He's just a runner at this point. But although he says he wants to be a passer, so Demario Douglas 36.5 receiving yards. Austin Hooper 10.5 receiving yards.
What's Hunter? What do they have Hunter Henry at?
Hunter Henry is 42.5 receiving yards. 18.5 longest reception.
I don't know.
42. I mean, he's been going over.
He usually is about 50. You want to say more on that?
Yeah, let me pull up his last. I mean, he is their most reliable pass catcher.
Do they have Drake Maye interception?
Henry had 56 last game. May. They have more than half an interception, or if you're feeling really risky, you can go more than 1.5 interceptions.
I think he gets better, but let's go more than half an interception.
More than half. Okay. And we'll go Henry, more than 42.5 receiving yards. Kayshon Boutte, 24.5. Kendrick Bourne, 23.5. Oh, Ramondre, do you think they're going to get the run game going? 50.5 rushing yards.
No,
Really?
I don't. Yeah, I really don't. I don't think the offensive line change is going to work. I might actually go less on that.
Or you could go 13 rush attempts. Like,
yeah, more than that. Yeah, because
we'll throw that in there. And then let's get one Bears player in here. And then if we want to go our random game, we can go our random game. So Caleb Williams is at 212.5 passing yards. If you think he's going to throw an interception,
he hasn't thrown a ton of picks this year. It's the one thing he hasn't done.
Yeah,
what about do they have sacks? He's taken a lot of sacks.
No, I don't think so. DeAndre Swift, 71.5 rush yards.
I actually think the Patriots run defense maybe figures it out this week.
Okay, you want to go under
Do we
Swift?
want to go less than that? Yeah.
Sure, let's do that. And then you feeling anything for our random game of the week?
Do they have Mac Jones in the system yet?
Oh,
I
I'm
think that
gonna
has
guess
to be it if we're
no,
gonna.
but
All right, if not,
no,
there is
not
an
yet.
okay. There's an absolutely disgusting game in Germany on Sunday morning between the Giants and the Panthers. I think both quarterbacks more than half an interception.
I don't know if we can't even put both in, but we could do one. I mean, Daniel Jones over half an interception is like the demon, like
Are you
double
serious?
multiplier. Yeah. So let's. Has
More
he
than
not
half
been
an
throwing?
interception?
Has he not been throwing interceptions
Do
this
you think
year?
he's going to get benched? Maybe the Panthers defense is just that bad. Whatever, throw it in there.
So let's throw that in there. Oh, what just happened?
Did we lose it?
We broke the system because our multiplier broke the system.
Like it's got to grow every week. So good.
Oh, there we go. Okay, we got
All
it. We
right.
got it. We got it. All right. Drake Maye, more 28.5 rushing yards. Drake Maye, more half an interception. Hunter Henry, more 42.5 receiving yards. Ramondre Stevenson, more than 13 rush attempts. DeAndre Swift in the other backfields, less than 71.5 rushing yards. And Daniel Jones kickstarts us Sunday morning in Germany against the Panthers, more than half an interception. That gets us our maximum 25 time multiplier. It's also a lineup protection. So if you get 5 of those picks correct out of 6, you get your money back. If you want to play the $5, play your $5 to get your $50 instantly, it's $125 payout. And then if you want to put the $50 that you get instantly, you don't even have to win to get the 50. It's $1,250 payout.
It's not
Not a
bad.
bad one there. So use code CLNS to get that bonus instantly. Again, we'll tweet out this lineup again on Sunday morning. So you guys early Sunday morning, because we have the Germany game, if you guys want to put that in. And we can rock. Maybe you're feeling good this week. Feeling good about it.
Feeling good about it. This system knows it's scared. That's why it glitched.
That's why they shut us down. They didn't want us
Yeah.
to. They don't want us to see us win. So
The
they
lineup
won't.
they don't want you to have.
Yep. So let's talk a little college football. We have our college football. We were locked into the polls on Tuesday with the first college football bracket released. I'm actually thinking I'm going to go to a college football game this week, and I am going to BC, and I'm definitely getting my tickets on Game Time. You can get all your tickets: football, hockey, basketball. I think the Bruins are at the Garden tonight. Puck drop soon, unfortunately, with them, but get all your tickets with Game Time, and they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier, because they filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. If you are in Chicago and you want to go to Soldier Field this weekend, we got $174, the cheapest get-in price on Game Time. Or if you just want to wait, Rams coming to town next weekend, throwback game, right? That's one of the last throwback game with the Rams.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so just over $80 on Game Time to get in as of now, or Game Time Picks takes you down right around 10 rows, front row, or not front row, 10 rows behind the end zone in front of the lighthouse, $135 with Game Time Picks. So great deals there. So make sure you head to Game Time for their lowest price guaranteed and other in-app promotions such as seat views, all-in pricing, Game Time Picks, which makes it even easier to save on all your tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying those tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. All right, pull up that college football bracket. We got our first 12-team format. Yep. Oregon, Georgia, Miami, BYU. The Oregon matchup this weekend doesn't matter. Playing Wisconsin. I don't know why they keep putting Wisconsin in prime time, but what were your takeaways? I mean, this would be a fun bracket. We got some good matchups in the first round. Yeah, it just looks like a good bracket. What are your kind of takeaways from it?
Yeah, I mean, my big takeaways, don't tell me the regular season doesn't matter, right? You have Ohio State, number 2 team in the country, and this has the seeding. This doesn't have the actual rankings. Ohio State, the number 2 team in the country, but that loss to Oregon could cost them. Now, both teams might be in the Big Ten championship, but you have to win that. The only way you get in is through the regular season. So I think it shows that. Texas, Alabama, awesome matchup. Notre Dame, Penn State, awesome matchup. Remember, those first round games are on campus, which is pretty cool.
Penn State would have to white that out, right? Like they would have to do a white
I think
out.
so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I would imagine. So, my one critique, I don't think Notre Dame should be on there. It's tricky because the teams behind them, SMU lost to BYU. So they have a tough loss. A&M lost head to head to Notre Dame. A&M's got to win that last game of the year versus Texas. Maybe that knocks Notre Dame out. To me, the home loss to Northern Illinois should be disqualifying.
Yeah.
But just kind of the way this season's gone, the other thing with these bigger conferences, there's only one unbeaten. No, there's multiple unbeaten teams left. Oregon's still unbeaten. BYU, there's not a lot. So, maybe Notre Dame sneaks in, but that was my one other critique.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the regular season still mattering. Like you have Alabama, LSU Saturday night is kind of like an elimination.
That's
game,
it. Yeah,
right?
that's an elimination game. Yeah,
because both of those teams are 2 lost teams. So whoever loses that, like a 3-win team sneaking in there at the bottom, like that's going to be really tough for one of those teams, especially because then they wouldn't be playing in the SEC championship game. So it would be a tough track for those guys to get back. So that's an elimination game. You look at like even Ole Miss, like I guess they still have some hope, but you lose to Georgia this weekend, same boat with them, 3-loss SEC team, like elimination game for them. So you have these elimination games in the regular season now. I agree with you on Notre Dame. Anything? Do you think Colorado could find a way to sneak in there? Like I'm sure they would love if you had Shador and Travis Hunter in the playoff, but
yeah, they could, but it's going to be tricky because when you look at they're going to play BYU in the Big 12 championship, so you lose that. And Iowa State's in there too, so they got to get in the Big 12 championship. There's just a couple Big 12 teams ahead of them, and it's not a really strong conference. The interesting one to me is Washington State. Let's say they finish 11-1, right? Do you put them at 11-1 without a conference? Do you put them in over, say, like maybe a 2-loss LSU team that didn't get in the SEC championship but beat Alabama, or a 2-loss Alabama team that maybe didn't get in the SEC championship but beat LSU? Or do you put them in over, let's say SMU doesn't win the ACC championship but wins out besides that? Yeah, excuse me. Sorry. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Washington State. And then you have the military academies too, or at least Army.
Yeah, they're still lurking there. What do you think the best scenario, not even just teams getting in, but maybe what happens in the playoffs for the Patriots? Like Cam Ward leaves Miami to a natty, and it depends where the Patriots obviously finish in the draft order, but
right. No, but we've talked about wanting more quarterbacks. I think Cam Ward's going to end up being QB 1 or 2 no matter what. Shadur's up there, but he's probably not going to make the playoffs. So
that's like if he made the playoffs and won a game, like that would be huge to get his stock up there. But
to me, it's can one of these guys that was supposed to be at the top of the board this year that has had a rough year reset his stock in the playoff and add himself to the conversation. So that would be Carson Beck. That would be Quinn Ewers. That'd be Jalen Milroe. If Nussmeier's draft eligible, I think at LSU, Garrett Nussmeier, and he goes nuts. Could Curtis Rourke go off? Like, I think another one of these quarterbacks it's going to be interesting to see what we've seen guys draft stocks be made out of single bowl games. Sam Darnold is the poster child of this. Sam Darnold was like a fine college quarterback. He was pretty good, but the Rose Bowl changed everything for him. Now you're going to have multiple opportunities to do this. You're going to play multiple bowl games. Saw what happened with Michael Penix last year, where, you know, he has that game against Texas and people are saying maybe he should go top 5. Then he has the game against Washington. And then people thought he wouldn't end up being a first-round pick. Obviously, he ends up going in the top 10. But again, guys like Rourke, Milroe, Beck, Ewers, can one of these guys maybe go on a run in the playoff and add some really quality draft film?
Yep. Quarterbacks, as many good quarterbacks as possible will help New England come draft day. So that's what you want to root for. But again, the first bracket there looks like fun stuff. So obviously that things will change. Tons of college football left to go. So we'll be monitoring that and keeping an eye on that for draft related stuff. But if you are not sitting on your couch and watching those college football games this weekend, maybe you want to get out and hit some golf balls, go to the range, play 9 or play 18. Golf season almost coming to a close, unfortunately, up here in New England. Or if you're listening somewhere warm, we're jealous and you get to play year round. But if you are looking to improve your golf game, hit the ball straighter, farther, not having to worry about hitting everything pure to make it a perfect shot, make sure you head over to PXG to upgrade the clubs in your bag. Barth and I both went to the PXG up there in Framingham. Both left with a brand new set of Black Ops irons, too good to pass up on after hitting in the simulator, going through all of our data. I mean, I was hitting it 40 yards longer. I had to take them back because it makes it so much easier and a more enjoyable experience when you're out on the course and you can actually hit it straight and far, and you get to play your second and third shots, you know, out of the fairway and not in the trees and ducking and dodging branches the whole time. So our Black Ops irons have made our golf games much better, more enjoyable. Again, we went to the PXG in Framingham to get our fitting done and, you know, hit on the simulators, get all your data, and it's an awesome time there. So if you guys are looking to upgrade your bags, make sure you do so with PXG clubs to take your game to a whole new level for a limited time. You can save $10 per club. Head over to pxg.com and use code CLNS. That's pxg.com, code CLNS to save $10 per club on your order. pxg.com, code CLNS. Holidays coming up. Great holiday gift for yourself, treat yourself, or anyone else that needs some golf clubs. Make sure you head to PXG and use code CLNS there. So we will wrap it up there. Patriots Bears on Sunday, 1:00 again in Chicago. Drake Maye versus Caleb Williams. Hopefully it is a good one. We will be back to break that down next week right here on Patriots Press Pass. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you do know when we go live. You can also follow Alex in the meantime at Real Alex Barth on Twitter. Head over to 985thesportshub.com to read all his Patriots coverage over there. And you can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines and head over to patspulpit.com for our Patriots coverage online there as well. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in with us tonight. Have a great weekend, and we will see you guys next week.